And in essence, by the time the series is finished and your other 2 books are finished, essentially it's going to be 2 different versions.
But I think that's true of every adaptation.
Anticlimactic, adjective, lacking climax, disappointing or ironically insignificant following of impressive foreshadowing. After all the buildup, the ending of the story was an anticlimactic letdown.
People are mad at Game of Thrones. Some fans have even found secrets in the last episode, like Jon Snow yelling, "Go, go, go," at Arya when she is supposed to be heading in to jump and take down the Night King. Although I myself don't understand why the writers didn't have Arya jump out of the weirwood tree, like fall out of it onto the Night King. She could have easily snuck up there and then fallen down on him. It would have made so much more sense than her somehow sneaking past an army of guards to stab the Night King. If the showrunners would have done simple things like this, I don't think so many people would be so angry. The reason being, it would make the episode more believable. I'll admit, as much as I want to reason through the episode, they tried too hard to make it seem like key characters were overly swarmed and going to die. And though this created tension, and when those characters magically escape an impossible way of dying, you can't blame people for saying that these characters have plot armor and live just because. I'm one of those fools that still have hope for the next few episodes, although there is good reason that I shouldn't. If the Night King somehow warged or transferred into Bran, taking him over, and this was just like a giant episode of build-up for the defeat that they teased us this whole time, I think the show would redeem themselves. But like I said, they showed on the next episode teaser that they do, Dany starts it with, "The Great War has been won." It would be so sad if the war had been won right now. I know that it doesn't make any sense, right? Well, the reason is they have ignored a lot of buildup over the last 8 years. I won't bore you with arguing about Azor Ahai and whether or not it was fulfilled in the show, but I'll show you this Reddit thread. I think it'll help everybody make sense of what's happening. I don't think that the show will touch on this, but the Night King and his army weren't the ultimate evil beyond the north. The greatest danger of all, however, comes from the north, from the icy wastes beyond the wall, where half-forgotten demons out of legend and the inhuman others raise cold legions of the undead and the neverborn and prepare to ride down on the winds of winter to extinguish everything that we call life. The prophecy of Azor Ahai has not been fulfilled. When Bran was in a coma after being pushed by Jaime in his visions, the three-eyed raven told him to look north. Finally, he looked north. He saw the wall shining like a blue crystal, and his bastard brother Jon sleeping alone in a cold bed, his skin growing pale and hard as the memory of all warmth fled from him. And he looked past the wall, past the endless forest cloaked in snow, past the frozen shore and the great blue-white rivers of ice and dead plains where nothing grew or lived. North and north and north he looked, to the curtain of light at the end of the world. And then beyond that curtain, he looked deep into the heart of winter, and then he cried out afraid, and the heat of his tears burned on his cheeks. "Now you know," the crow whispered as it sat on his shoulder. "Now you know why you must live." "Why?" Bran said, not understanding. Falling. Because winter is coming." Winter has come, the Night King, and he was defeated, but the ancient evils created by God of Ice and Death still remain. These creatures rode giant ice spiders and reside far past where the Night King and his army did. They live past the curtain where light no longer touches this earth. They come with the winds of winter, which are still to come. The Night King and his army are not inhuman. The Night King was once human. The White Walkers were human, and their majority of their army are warged humans. The greatest inhuman danger is still there, wanting the long night. This means Azor Ahai must still be fulfilled. Whites were killed by fire, White Walkers by dragon glass or Valyrian steel. I theorize that these ancient ice demons can only be killed by dragon steel, which is why Samwell learned about it in the Annals of Castle Black. Lightbringer could be plunged into Dany or Jon's chest to make it dragon steel with the blood of a dragon on it, and the prince or princess that was promised will defeat the Great Other. Speaking of the Great Other, R'hllor is the Lord of Light, also known as the Red God, the Heart of Fire, and the God of Flame and Shadow. This God of light, heat, and life is primarily worshipped in Essos, though a few of his followers have made their way to Westeros. His enemy is the Great Other, the God of ice and death. The fight between the two gods is supposed to end when Azor Ahai is reborn and wields the Lightbringer. I don't think the Night King dying was the end of the god in ice and death. The gods are still at war and Azor Ahai must still be fulfilled. Again, I don't think this will be touched on the show at all. There isn't enough time and it would confuse so many people who aren't familiar with the lore. But we've known throughout it all that the real enemy is not humans, it's what Inhumans beyond the wall. To leave the larger half of the end of the series to the war between humans seems to be a disservice when the Game of Thrones that's been playing out for about a generation weighs the threat of ancient evil. The show is just a Game of Thrones thought. I'm hoping the Winds of Winter will be published soon after the show ends. The short answer, I don't think Azor Ahai is Arya. Either the show writers just really wanted a fun twist, or the fans, and that's the end. Or the Night King was not the true danger, and the prophecy has yet to be fulfilled. Some of the fans even go even further, and they write out pretty long, but, they make a lot of sense, these things. The legend of the Lightbringer is it was tempered with water and broke, and then it was tempered by capturing a lion, and it broke again. Finally, it was forged by killing Nissa through the heart, a.k.a. his love of a stabbing betrayal. Arya had 3 major relationships with people in this world. The first was Syrio, a water dancer who was killed. Then the Starks captured Jaime, a lion, and for that, Arya's father Ned was killed. Finally, the one person left who she maybe loved the most in the world, Jon, was killed by stabbing multiple times, betrayed by the Night's Watch, love. However, Jon did not die. He was resurrected, so after the 3rd try, Lightbringer was born. I can't say that I agree with any of this because I heard George R.R. Martin say in that interview that I put in the beginning of this exactly what everybody thinks. The Game of Thrones had the books to go off of for a good while. And then when they ran out of book material, they sat down with George R.R. Martin and had him give them the entire outline of the end of the show. They say this in many interviews and in the other parts of the interview I played for you. I just can't play a lot of it or I'll get like copyright strikes and stuff, so I don't want to chance it. But the one thing I want to make sure everyone understands is that I don't think that the show is going to be like the books. The books seem to take this giant lore from this entire war, even between these gods that live at the top of the world, into account. The books were awesome and they were long, and George R.R. Martin has to write them over a lifetime. The show, on the other hand, I think they just wanted to get it out there, make it as good as they could. And as you can see, if that is the case, I think everybody's going to be upset when in Season 8, Episode 4, we end up finding out that the Great War's over and the last step is to take over Cersei. And I remember one thing I want to add in here at the end. I heard not Daenerys, but the person who plays her, Emily Clark, in an interview for Season 8. And she said that the end is going to be bittersweet, but she thinks that everybody will be satisfied because it's a great ending. Saying that makes me think that some of the best characters are going to die. And if they are, they're probably going to save it for the 5th or 6th episode. The episode 4 of this season, I'm going to guess, if it's not some big thing like I said with Bran, like the Night King warging into him, I'm going to guess that they basically get ready, collect a little more of an army, and head down south to face Cersei. The second to last episode, they're going to kill Cersei, and we're going to see several main characters be killed in that scene, in that place. And then maybe in the last episode, they might try to pull like the classic movie, like tell us what's going to happen with everybody and what ends up being the aftermath and everything. And I do have one issue, though. That's not Game of Thrones. That's not this thing that we know. The showrunners, when they took it, after they ran out of material, they started condensing it together. And I know why. You know why. All of us have that one nagging question. Why didn't they take their time and make this thing? They make so much money off of this. This is like the biggest thing ever. Why not do what we've got businesses that take crappy stories just because they have one good beginning and try to make 19 freaking sequels, right? Why is Game of Thrones doing the opposite and trying to end out? It's because they have to, in my opinion. And I think I know why, but I'm probably boring you anyway. So, like I said, they ran out of book material, and then the episodes, instead of taking the slow roll and really getting with the small interactions between people, the episodes started being like jumping around more and big chunks of time represented, major events represented instead of the small interactions. Maybe the D&D, that's what they call those guys that write the show now after George R.R. Martin ran out of material or ran out of the books, when they passed the books. D&D, I think they want to end this so they can move on to something that they can make their own, the next sequel. They're already talking about how there's going to be a prequel to Game of Thrones. It's going to deal with, the long night from a long time ago. I think that's what D&D are doing. They're ending this out as early as they can so that they can do their own thing where they have full creative expression. They know if they mess with... They have the expectation of writing as George Martin right now. These guys probably don't want that. They probably want to end this and go do their own thing. But they want to satisfy HBO, who thinks that if it has the Game of Thrones name, it's going to be big. But what these guys don't know is that doesn't work. It always ends up falling in. It's like Star Wars. You end up having a couple good or mediocre things that catch people's attention, and then people realize this isn't the thing we signed up for. And it would be miserable if that's what they're doing. But let's hold out that hope. Let's hope that episode 4 has a twist. Let's hope that what just happened didn't really happen and it was a big fake out, because that's what we expect from Game of Thrones. And let's hope that George R.R. Martin set us up for the big ending. I'm UNIRock. Make sure you like and subscribe. See you next time.